All right, Gonky, you wanted to talk about Wombat's War Wagon.
Yeah.
Party bus.
Geez. Whoop. We got a do loop there. Yeah. So this one, literally, I found it just prior to us hopping on here. So I just thought, I didn't realize Wombat was going to bless us with his presence. So here we are. The E2 Hawkeye is unstoppable. Wombat, stop me if you see anything that's not.
End of story.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Moving on.
You need to fact check this. All right. E2 Hawkeye has been on active duty service for 6 decades. Built by Northrop Grumman, the E2 can operate all weather from carrier decks to provide tactical airborne early warning. AEW. The Hawkeye has been on active duty service for 6 days. Oh gosh, dude. Designed in the 50s, the Hawkeye took its maiden flight in 1960, entered service in 64. Really? Yeah. And today, remarkably, the E2 is still in production. The E2 has remained in production since 1960, making the Hawkeye the longest produced carrier-based aircraft ever. Wombat, did you fly the D? Is that still the newest one?
I have not flown the D. I was E2C.
How old was the airplanes you were flying?
Some of them are brand new. We got them brand new.
Really?
Delivered. Yeah. 602 before the real-life Clipper bent it was brand new from the factory.
Wow. Okay, well, here we're going to meet the Hawkeye. The E2 is designed to replace the E1 Tracer, and the E2 is the first aircraft ever built from scratch specifically for airborne early warning. The airborne early warning aircraft that came before the E2 was modified from existing aircraft. The engines of the E2 make a distinct humming sound, so naturally the aircraft has earned the nickname Hummer. The E2 and its humming engine are rather distinct on board the carrier, mostly populated with jet engine aircraft like the Hornet and F-35. Wombat, could you demonstrate the sound?
Are you a Hummer driver?
Are you?
I am.
Could you demonstrate a Hummer for us? I mean the sound. Okay, yes. We'll just keep going here.
Keep going.
The E2
well, no, and it's funny because the 4-blade, if you remember, was different than the 8-blade. It changed the pitch significantly. Yeah. So
I thought the 8-blade wasn't bad. That's just me.
It sounded like angry bees.
Yes, I prefer that over the. Anyways, while the E2 has served steadily as a workhorse success story, the initial design process was troubled. For one, the Navy determined that the next airborne early warning aircraft should integrate data with the Naval tactical data system found aboard Navy vessels. Then the Navy demanded the E2 be able to land on aircraft carriers, which was especially difficult in the 50s. In the 1950s, the U.S. Navy operated World War II era aircraft carriers. Let's see here. A finished product, E2 Hawkeye featured high wings, 2 Allison T56 turboprop engines to land on carriers, and obviously retractable landing gear. The most distinctive feature of the E2 was the 24-foot diameter rotating radar dome known as the Rotodome. Is that true? They call it the Rotodome? Mm-hmm. The Rotodome contains the E2's long-range radar and IFF system, basically the equipment that allows E2 to perform the mission it was designed to perform. The E2 is the only carrier-based airplane that features a Rotodome. True. Typically, Rotodome-equipped aircraft, the E3 Sentry, for example, are land-based. Yes, they are. Wombat, have you ever seen them pull that thing off? Do they ever pull that thing off for maintenance? Like, have you ever seen an E2 without it, really?
Yeah, I always wanted to fly one. But
will it fly without it?
100%. There's actually a section in NATOPS that delineates its stats for if you get it without it.
Really? So when if you do an FCF, is the dome on or off, or does it matter?
No, it's on. It's on. It's the only time that they would take them off is if it was going down to like depot level maintenance.
I gotcha. To save space aboard the carrier, that features a stow wing, so folding wings which fold up because the Hawkeye is a big airplane. When in use, the E2 requires a 5-person crew up front, pilot, co-pilot in the back, and below the Rotodome, a combat information center office, an air control officer, and a radar operator. Although the E2's enjoyed an enduring service history, the plane has had problems. Most pressingly, the E2 had an inadequate cooling system, but it looks like they remedied that with the newer ones. Did you guys have any cooling systems with the newer ones?
We did have issues
for the electronics.
With the electronics. That was always something the RO was working on, was to make sure if you lost that cooling, your radar's coming down quick.
Gotcha. It says the U.S. Navy is not the only military using the Hawkeye. The E2 has been exported. Mexico, France, Taiwan, Egypt, and Japan all rely on the E2 for trustworthy airborne early warning. So that is why the Hawkeye is unstoppable.
So here's the question, Naval Aviation Gonky. Why does it have 4 tails?
It has 4 tails, probably because the dome blocks the airflow.
False.
Dang it.
Anything?
One
Any
for each
ideas?
Wizzo.
Also false, because there's 3
Oh.
and they're not Wizzos.
Wags,
Because-
take a stab.
Because you can't go too high because it would block signals. So to get the amount of yaw control, you have to have 4 smaller ones.
Close.
Oh.
You can't go too high because it had to fit aboard the carrier and go in the hangar, like the
Okay.
S3. So the original design actually had a single tail that would fold down like the S3.
Mm.
But it still was too big because it doesn't have counter rotating props. So they go the same direction. So lots of P factor. So they went with the split rudder design. And the second design only had 3 tails, 2 on the left and 1 on the right.
Mm.
Whoa. Because that's all you
Weird.
need aerodynamically.
Right.
And the Navy said that looks dumb. So they put up another tail. So there's 4 tails, but only 3 rudders on that plane if you look at it.
So both engines
Really?
are spinning the same way. They're not.
They're both spin the same way. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so the inboard tail on the right side, co-pilot side, does not have a rudder.
Huh.
It's just there for looks.
Why didn't they do counter rotating to eliminate the P factor?
Because that would have made sense. But no, not in like the Air Force, if they had operated this, absolutely would have had it because
Yeah,
of the
like
resources.
B-38.
But if you think Navy, ship space is critical. So if you have counter rotating, you have to have 2 different gearboxes, 2 different engines, 2 different
right.
prop assemblies, everything. So
I understand. Makes sense. Okay.
So they just made better pilots.
I
Look
see.
at that.
cheaper.
Wags is smarter than us on this stuff.
No, I get lucky every now and
Wags
then.
is smarter than us.
Wags is the real pilot. We're all just imposters.
That's a very low bar.
You could have just stopped it. Wags is smarter than us.
That's true.